Folks, are you ready for some statistics, some data you cannot believe? Well, hold on, because we've got the receipts, we've got the data, we've got the demos, and we'll show you what's going on with Inside Out 2. It turns out that this female phenom at the box office is being supported not by kids and families, but rather by a ton of grown women. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we are always at it when it comes to explaining what is happening behind the scenes at Hollywood and why things are going the way they go. Kicking and screaming, they go often to the sensible center, the middle mainstream, where we pull them to every single day because we want them to make money. Money is being made this time with Inside Out 2. And why, folks? Well, we're here to give you the definitive answer. And that is that this is pulling the Barbie crowd. That same audience that supported Barbie last year, they're back again, and they're ravenous for Inside Out 2. Will it hold? We don't know. But the shocking statistic that you must know is that less than a quarter, less than 1/4 of the audience is actually made up by kiddos. This is a movie made for adult women. We'll show you right now with the panel. Here we go.
How's it going, man?
It's a great day, and even better day to have you with us, Chris. We're excited to talk about two of the big stories that are happening right now in entertainment. One of those being Inside Out 2, and one of those being Star Wars and what has happened to it.
Right.
If you're okay with it, let's start off with Inside Out 2 while we've got you here.
Sure.
You saw the film. You gave it a score. What was your score, Chris?
It was good. It was like a 6.5, 7 out of 10.
Right. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. So you and I are on the same page in that regard. Now, Chris, what I am fascinated by with this film, one, I've sensed that many people are shifting their views on it as they watch the box office. So they're doing this dance where they say, "Oh, well, it's just okay," and then the box office comes out and they go, "Oh, it's the greatest thing ever! Pixar is saved!" It's like, no, it's not. But Chris, we went through the demo breakdown of the audience this morning on my AM video with Kocho Casino. Turns out, Chris, and you tell me what you think about this. It turns out that less than a quarter of the opening weekend audience were kids. Teenagers, also not a huge percentage. This film is being driven largely, in terms of its major box office, global 300 million. I mean, that's insane. It's being driven by adult women. It's like a 63% female to male. And the vast majority of the people going to see Inside Out 2 are, in fact, women, adults. Now, Chris, this to me looks like Barbie 2.0 all over again.
Yes.
What do you think about this market trend now, 2 years in a row, of female anthem films exploding? Very specific ones, though. What's going on here?
Well, Disney itself is a girl brand. Princesses, right? Disney built its castle of money on princesses, right? And princes and fairy tales. And overall, generally, Disney has been a girl brand. The purpose of bringing in Marvel and Star Wars was to bring in boys. What they did was both Marvel and Star Wars pivoted to appeal to women. And it just doesn't work that way. Marvel is, I know, I can tell you some info from people I know in the industry that Marvel has realized their mistake. They fired recently 15 producers who are all the activist producers pushing agenda. They're gone. The culture at Marvel will change, but it won't be reflected in the content for probably about 2 years. And Deadpool and Wolverine will be an anomaly. I hear there's a sequence where Deadpool completely mocks the idea of a multiverse and why it's a terrible idea. That's a scene in the film. Deadpool and Wolverine is a roast of Marvel and Disney. It just roasts everything, which is really good. What about
Feige, though, Chris? Feige is the one who sent Marvel down this pathway. One would suspect. Has he seen the light?
Feige puts his finger up, sees where the wind is blowing, and that's where he goes. And
oh, that's beautiful. That's
previous
beautiful.
to that, the wind was going, hey, women, power, this. It's not there. There are more female Marvel fans because they like beefcake, they like strong men, than there are female Star Wars fans.
Which
so
you can,
back to Star Wars. That brand is not going to change at all. They are doubling down on everything. But back to your original question, I saw Inside Out 2. I thought it was fine. It was not great. It wasn't classic or universal like Toy Story. Toy Story
Right.
is so beyond. It spans generations. It's for girls and boys. It hits old and young. It's amazing. Inside Out 2, I think, is really specifically not just for girls. They're trying to appeal to boys, though, but for girls of a certain age, and that's early teens, right?
Where do you find them trying to appeal to guys, Chris? What part of the movie did you sense was aimed at holding on to the males?
Hockey.
I
mean, the hockey is the boy thing, but
my.
I don't know about how many female hockey leagues there are, especially in the Bay Area, which is where Inside Out 2 is set. But look, they got me. The end of the movie, it's really about that stage of life of from junior high, your young friends, to high school, different group of friends. So it hit that, and I think it will perform well, continue to perform well. I just thought it was a good sequel that was kind of like, it's like, do you remember those like direct to video clamshell sequels?
Yes.
Like we never needed any of those. Lion King 2, Sleeping Beauty 2,
Return to Neverland.
Yeah. I mean, they're all Bambi 2. They're all just okay. I bought them all. My kids were young in the 90s. You're at the grocery store. There's the clamshell. It's $19.99. You pick it up and throw it in with your groceries. They're all bad, and they're just bad or just okay.
I think that's probably the best comparison you could make here, because this movie, like the first Inside Out, was a masterpiece. It works on like 3 different levels at the same time for so many moments. That Bing Bong thing of Take Her to the Moon for me is this wonderful, emotional. It's a climax of this thing, and you can tell that this is something that has consequences for Riley in her entire life, and this is something that parents will see in a different way than the kids will see. And there's so much going into this scene, and there is none of that in Inside Out 2. It is the same characters, and that's about the best I can say for what they've achieved. They put them all on screen, and they haven't screwed it up too much.
So let's talk about the finances of this, though, Chris.
Just one last thing. They missed a huge opportunity. She's a young woman. Didn't she like boys? There's one reference to it.
Mm-hmm.
One reference to it, which was like the mountain of their crushes. It was like a little about her. Yeah, that was it. But shouldn't she like boys? So the whole story takes place at this hockey camp, and we're not going outside of that. So it's all girls. The other thing I found a little very, very Disney, and I'll say this to its credit, it's not super woke at all. Like, it just isn't. So I thought that was good.
Agreed.
And the only thing was there'd be a shot of any group shot of girls. There's like 5-10 girls. There's always, there's a white girl, there's an Asian girl, there's a black girl, there's a Muslim girl, and a hijab. There's like, you had to do diversity in every shot if there were more than 2 women, which I thought was 2 girls, which was hilarious.
You know why though, Chris? Because so Disney has their ratios, right? They have their quotas that you got to make with all these productions. So you got to have 50% or more minority representation, right? So, and then Disney defines that. It's not based on the global demographics. It's based on North America, which is ethnocentric, but we'll leave that there for now. But the reason they have to do that is because this movie has to use the original cast. So it's got to have the white little girl and the white mom and the white dad, which she's got a dad and he's a good dad. So there, take that woke. But because of that, and because the main emotions are played by people of European descent, therefore, the entire rest of the film has to be filled with people of minority status, whatever that might mean. And that's why hockey in Inside Out 2 is a game played by everybody except the people who actually play hockey in the real world. How's that?
Yes, exactly. But this is a win because it's not woke. It hits you in the feels at the end. I will say it really got me in the end. I was surprised, and Pixar does that. They kind of creep up on you, and then here it is. And that final scene, or the third act, was very good.
All right, so let's talk though about the finances of this, because I think there's a market phenomenon that's worth examining. If we take a look at the breakdown out of Box Office Pro, we talked about this morning, but it's so important. I feel like we should hit it one more time. 62% is female, okay, in terms of the first weekend attendance. Now, when you release a Disney film, generally towards families, it's very difficult to not have somewhere between 50 and 50 or 2 points either direction. To actually hit 62% female is incredible for a film from Disney aimed at families. But apparently it's not aimed at families, because if you look at this demographic breakdown, not only is this highly skewed towards women, but also less than 40% are people under the age of 18. Less than a quarter are actual kids. The vast majority, over 60% of the audience, are adults. And Chris, what I think is happening here, and you tell me what you think about this. I think this is Barbie 2.0. I talked with Culture about this. I think this is Barbie all over again. I think it's the same thing we saw last year, a little bit smaller in terms of its power, less runway because it's going to hit into a Despicable Me 4. But I think that there's a group of young adult women out there who they're very interested in these coming of age female anthem stories, and especially when it is fighting against the man or when it's fighting against expectations and anxiety, and they're very interested in seeing that sort of film. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because young women are definitely the Disney files. So, and the ticket buyers in the end. So they're not surprising statistics at all. I think part of it is the economy with families, right? I think Minions is going to clean house because that's so broad, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's very appeals to younger.
Which makes more, Chris? Which makes more now? We would have never thought that Inside Out 2 could compete with Despicable Me 4, but now I got to ask, which one's going to make more money in your estimation by the end of the box office?
I don't know. I think it depends on second weekend drop-off for Inside Out 2, which I think will not be that much, because this weekend opening is, oh my God, The Bike Riders, which I saw yesterday. Very good film, narrow demographic. It's an indie, basically. Then you've got like the new Yorgos, I can't pronounce his last name. The filmmaker,
the guy who did Poor Things.
Yeah. Kinds of Kindness. I'm gonna look it up. It's that opens, and it's a 3-hour movie, by the way.
Whew.
So Inside Out 2 has no competition this weekend. Literally.
I think the drop is in the 40s. I think it's probably low 40s in terms of percentage of drop is what I'm going to bet on Inside Out. It's going to
be a very low drop. So I mean, I'm not good at predicting box office. I could tell you when a few things I was like, that's going to bomb. This will do terrible. This is on this. It's really anyone's guess, but it is going to be, it's interesting because Universal, with Illumination has done so well. They have taken that number one spot for animation now. They just have. And it's going to be a battle. So,
this is an amazing thing for me as someone who's focused on animation right now. I don't like Minions and I don't like Despicable Me. And I just kind of like, despite if Disney wasn't failing so much, I would be so clear to me that Despicable Me 4 is going to do better than Inside Out 2. But if Disney is firing on all cylinders, I don't know. Like Super Mario Brothers movie was off on its own, and it was an amazing IP. I have no question that's going to do well. Minions: Rise of Gru, I think that made $1 billion. Sorry, and now we're returning back to Despicable Me. What is it, 3 or 4? I don't know how many there are.
Yeah, I can't keep count. So,
but at this point, if with this outside of the picture, I would have said definitely this next Illumination film is going to make $1 billion. I don't know here. I think it probably will damage the box office of Inside Out 2 on its second or third week. kids will actually want to go see the Minions movie or Despicable Me or whatever. See, this is the problem. They either need to do generic subtitles like Marvel does or do numbers. This spin-offs and back and forth just drives me insane trying to track it all.
Well, they've got until July 3rd, and July 3rd is when Despicable Me 4 will land. That's when there's a head-to-head of Inside Out 2, but they've got the rest of June for a clear runway, and that's why I say that Chris is exactly right in terms of this having a very strong hold at the box office. But I do think it's going to skew even more strongly towards women as men begin to hear what this film is about. You're going to have some dads and some sons who would have gone the second weekend. They're going to hear about it. They're going to say, I think we'll go watch Bad Boys. I think we'll stay home. We'll go play in the park, whatever. I think that's going to be the case. Because, the female battle against anxiety just doesn't appeal. It's not a 4-quadrant film, even if it's outperforming what a 4-quadrant film typically would be. And I think this speaks to, again, what women are interested in and experiencing and how vastly different it is from men at this stage in our society. I think there's a very different appeal for women in terms of what they want to go be entertained by and what they're interested in taking their daughters to see.
It's funny because I can see a lot of young adult women, identifying with the themes in Inside Out 2. The idea of I thought the thing that was very well done in the film was anxiety and showing possible futures and getting stressed out about things that might happen that haven't happened. Right. Like I think I can see a lot of young women relating to that because mental health, hey,
Chris, is it any surprise this film was put into development in 2020?
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Makes sense. I think it's the first true post-pandemic themed film. I think it actually touches on what many young women experienced during the last few years. I think it's the first film to do it.
That's a great insight because also you look at the rates of mental illness, and I don't want to go too dark with this, but it was all when iPhones became affordable, like post 2012. You see, like it spikes right when iPhones became cheap and young girls, got on social media. I think young boys don't take social media as seriously.
Oh, no.
But young girls,
by the way, girls, the whole experience of the teenage girl, at least a huge part of it, is battling for your position in the social hierarchy. So that's why social media, you get the word play there, is so integral to where they envision themselves. And folks, we want to thank you for being here today. It's been a joy, as always, an attitude of gratitude every single time you choose to click one of these videos and spend your time with us. We know it's valuable, and we try to lift you up as a result. Folks, you can lift us up by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, as we always say, because we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and you betcha, keep having fun.